Welcome to So Crafty. I'm Connie, and I've had some questions about how to make the 3D hanging joey bags for kangaroos and wallabies. Tutorial on how to do that, and here's what they look like. I didn't have a wallaby, so I had to use a stuffed hedgehog to test it out. Um, so anyway, this is what they look like, and they're really easy and quick. So let's go ahead and get started.
For these, you will need 1 yard of 100% cotton fabric for your outer and 1 yard of flannel for your lining. The cutting sizes are 26 by 42 inch for wallaby and 30 inches by 51 inches for kangaroo. You will have 2 pieces for each animal, so one will be your outer and one will be your lining fabric for each one.
The first thing you're going to do is you're going to fold each piece lengthwise with right sides together. So I've already done my flannel piece here. Now I'm going to do my outer fabric the same way. So you're just going to take it and fold it with right sides together. And then you're going to lay these 2 pieces on top of each other, lining them up as best as you can. Make sure the edges are lined up. Okay, now you're going to go to one side and you're going to take a plate, about a 10-inch plate. I'm using a little decorative plate I made in honor of my kitty who passed away in 2016, that's Charlotte. Anyway, I miss her. So you're going to take your plate and you're going to lay it in the corner here, and you're going to leave about a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the side right here. Now, if you want to take a pen and mark 1/2 inch, you could do that, or if you want to take a ruler, you can do that too. But I'm pretty good at eyeballing, so I'm just going to do like this, leave it about a 1/2 inch because that's where you're going to sew. Then you're going to take it and you're going to take a pen or marker and you're just going to draw a line right around the edge of this plate and then to the bottom, and it's going to look like that. And then you're going to do the same thing to the lining. Go about a 1/2 inch. The bottom, it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't go all the way to the bottom. I would leave a little bit, maybe about a 1/4 inch or so. But this is the folded. The folded side is at the bottom, and this is the open side. So I'm going to move this over about a 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to draw another line like this. All right, and then we are going to go and take this to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew a seam all the way down the edge, and we're going to sew it on this curve as well. So let's go do that now. Now we're going to go ahead and sew a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way down the edge of the fabric that you marked the curve on. You can pin this if you want. I'm not going to. I'm just going to keep it together. But if you're new at it, I would recommend pinning it. And so we're just going to sew all the way down using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now when you get to the curve, you're going to sew around the curve and you're going to stop right here and backstitch and move off the fabric. So I'm going to stop right here, backstitch, and then just sew off the fabric. So there's that piece. And we're going to do the same thing to the other piece. So a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way down. We're going to sew around the curve. Stop. We're going to back stitch and then just sew off the fabric. Now we're going to take the pieces that we just sewn and we are going to cut around the curve here. And then do the same thing on each piece. You can also clip the corners so it'll curve a little better when you put it together. Okay, now you're going to take your outer fabric and you're going to turn it right side out. You're going to push out the seams. Okay, and then you are going to lay your outer fabric inside your inner fabric. You're going to take both curves and put those together, and you're going to match up the seams. Like this. Okay, now this part I would definitely recommend pinning, because what you're going to do is you're going to sew all the way around these edges, and so you want to make sure your seam is matched up here and pin, and then you want to make sure your corners are matched up and pin those as well. So let's go ahead and do that now. Line up the raw edges as you pin. Okay, I got my edges pinned together. If it doesn't line up all the way at the top, don't panic, it'll be fine. Sometimes some fabric is cut smaller than others, but I would just kind of give it a flap out and just kind of make sure that it's kind of touching the bottom, and it looks like we're good. Okay. Now let's go to the sewing machine and sew it together. Now I'm going to start at one corner and I'm just going to sew it all the way around, and I'm going to stop and leave a gap, pretty good sized gap at one point so we could turn it inside out. So let's go ahead and just get this started. Okay, I got it all sewn up now, and now we're going to clip the corners like that. And I left my gap. Where is my gap? Here it is. I left my gap, and now we're going to turn it right side out. Once you get it right side out, you want to push out the seams and push out your corners. Get all the seams. Push out your corners here. And then you want to put your lining inside your bag like this. Easiest way to do that is to match up your corners like this. Okay, you're going to kind of lay it flat like this. Kind of get all the edges lined up. And then with my gap right here, I'm just going to push that in. And sew it closed. I got my opening all sewed up, close to the edge as I can get it. And now I have it laid out here with the edges matching up, and you have a long side up here, and then you have a short side on this side, and the curve is right here. And now what we're going to do with the long side, that's going to be the side that we fold back, and the kangaroo is going to stick its head out that way up here. So I'm going to take my ruler and measure about 1.5 inches over and make a mark, and then measure 3 inches down and make another mark. And you're going to sew this right here, back stitching at the bottom and back stitching at the top. So I just sewed a simple stitch from the top to where I made my 3-inch mark, and I back stitched there where the mark is, and I back stitched right here at the edge of the fabric. Now you're going to fold this over all the way around. And then I would recommend pinning this just to kind of keep its shape. And then we're going to sew this all the way around close to the edge, from one side up along the other. Now we're going to sew this edge down all the way around, and we're going to make sure that we don't get the rest of the bag in the way, and sew it up, close it up. If you have an insert in your sewing machine, I would recommend going ahead and taking it out. And we're going to start at the top, and we're going to back stitch and then go all the way around, and when we get to the top, you're going to back stitch there as well, just to secure it. I'm going to cut my loose threads. We've got it sewn down all the way around. I'm going to take out my pins. There it is. And we're going to get it finished up. For the next step, you want to find the center on the back. Okay, and you can just fingerprint it, or you can put a pin there. Now let's open it up, and where the seam is that you just sewed together for the front opening, you're going to match it up with the center where the pin is. Okay. Now you're going to go in from each side. You're going to measure in 4 inches. I'd say about 1/2 of an inch from the top. Measure in 4 inches and make a dot. And then set your ruler on top of the split that you sewed up right there and measure in another 4 inches. And do the same thing on the other side. Measure in 4 inches, about 1/2 inch from the top, and about 4 inches from where the top of the split is that you just sewed up, and then make another dot. Next thing we're going to do is we are just going to take this and sew across from here to here and here to here, back stitching each place as we do that. And we're going to sew from the 2 dots that we just marked. We're going to sew lengthwise from one end to the other, back stitching from the start to the end. Now you're going to cut any loose threads. And you are done. Now let's go see how they're going to hang it on a pole. Okay, so from what I understand is they will hang these on poles, so the little Joey or Wallaby, whatever the case may be, can lay in there and feel all secure. So let's test this one out. So this is how they put it on the pole. Get rid of some of these extra threads. That's how they will put it on the pole. And I have a little makeshift pole holder back here. So this is my tester, so we'll do it like this. And so there you go. That is the one for the Kangaroo 3D hanging bag. And since I don't have a kangaroo, my stuffed hedgehog, let's see how he likes it. See if it works out. Yep, I think he's liking that. Alright, so if y'all enjoyed this video, if you could give me a thumbs up, I would appreciate it. If you have any questions, just comment and I will try my best to answer, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Thanks again for all your help, all that you're doing for the animals in Australia. Let's keep praying.